everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Megan, and today I'm going to be discussing the movie Miracle. I've never seen it before. I am majority of the time more of a TV person than a movie person. There are so many movies I have not seen. And when I talk to people, they're like, oh, have you seen this? Have you seen that? And I'm like, nope. They're like, how have you not seen that? It's like, I don't know. I'm just like more into TV. And I love sports. Sports is basically my life. However, I've never really watched any sports movies. I don't know why. I think it's because I watch it live and I'm already like immersed into like the community or like the culture just by like watching and going to events and things like that, that I don't even think about watching a sports movie. Like the last one I saw was Formula One, and that was actually decent, you know. Yeah, I just haven't really gotten to any sports movies, and I felt like it was appropriate to start with Miracle with both our men's and women's hockey teams winning at the Olympics. Like we're 2 for 2 for gold this year, and it was kind of special that the men's team was last Sunday, which was the 46th anniversary of the 1980 Miracle on Ice. So let's get into it. Going into this movie, I was super excited because I love the camaraderie with the hockey players. I like love watching the game, and I love the fighting. I love the action. Like I love a punch. I love the chirping. I love when you can hear them talk on the ice from like the TV, or if they're like mic'd up or anything like that. So going into the movie, I was like, oh, I can't wait for like some of these moments. I'm so excited. And I knew going in that they used real hockey players, which I absolutely loved. I love that they used college players to represent the guys from the 1980 team. Throughout the entire movie, I kept looking at the goalie and reminded me of a young Henrik Lundqvist. Like I literally just could not like stop staring at him. And then I found out in the movie he was like the only actor out of the group, which was interesting because I feel like he kind of like stuck out in the group. And so I was like, that's so funny that he was like the one actor in the group and he was one that kind of stuck out. But like I just kept picturing Henrik. I don't know, because he's like one of the most beautiful hockey players like ever. And so yeah, I was kind of distracted by the goalie. But I was also surprised on how little dialogue the players had. I don't know, because I just love that part of hockey, of like the locker room camaraderie and looking out for each other. Like when you get a goal, everyone's like hugging, and I don't know, I just love that because I played sports and it's so fun to be part of a team. And even though you may not get along majority of the time, when you're out there on the field or on the ice or on the court, like it's game time. Like you guys are working together for a common goal. And I just thought they would capture that a little bit more. But then I realized it wasn't necessarily about the guys. It was about the coach and how unique he was and his story on getting this team to beat the Soviet Union. And I kept reminding myself watching the movie. It's like, okay, it's not necessarily about maybe the guys and the camaraderie, but it's about this coach. It's about his story, about being cut from the 1960 team very last minute and wanting to win the gold after the Soviet Union has been winning for the last 4 Olympics. And so I thought that was powerful in itself, is that we were actually getting everything from his perspective. So I understand why they probably went with real hockey players, because they knew that they weren't going to get much dialogue from them. So it's like, well, let's take advantage by making this most realistic as possible in terms of like the game scenes, and let's get real ones out there and not even worry about trying to get actors to play this game that they've never played before. So I thought that was really smart on their end to do that for this movie. I took some notes while I was watching the movie. I had to like pause like so many times. So it took me probably like 2.5 hours to finish the movie, and the movie was like a little over 2 hours. But one of the things, or some of the scenes that like stuck out to me, was when he brought the players. I don't remember if it was the first practice or not, but it was the part where those 2 guys get in the fight for the first time. The coach stopped and they were just like, let's introduce ourselves. So there was only 3 guys that introduced themselves, and they said who they play for. I was shocked, when I first started watching the scene, I was like, oh, this is going to be great. Everyone's going to introduce themselves. The music's going to come in the background. There's just going to be this like real authentic moment of, hey, like we're all here. We're coming from different areas. Like we're going to do this. Like, but it didn't happen. There was only 3 introductions, and then that was it. I was like, you just cut off the scene with just like 3 introductions. And I was just like, okay. And then when they get to, shoot, I don't remember if it's Sweden or Norway. It's one of the Scandinavian countries where they go after the game and they're doing the rigorous, like, suicides is what I call it, because that's what we did in soccer. You like run to the line and run back and you go this way, but they're skating, obviously. And at the very end, the guy introduces himself and he says, I play for the US or United States. And then the coach is like, okay, everyone's done. So I don't know if that was the point at the very beginning about introducing themselves. And then it's like, well, we're playing as a country now. You're not playing for your individual colleges or where you're from individually, but you're playing for our country. You're playing for the United States. And so I was thinking of that moment. Okay, well, why didn't they show everyone introducing themselves at the very beginning at that practice? I don't know. I just feel like it was just more powerful if they did it that way. But maybe in reality that didn't happen. Maybe it was only 3 people. So maybe that was accurate. I don't know. Or at least have it fade out, because you see that in movies. Like when someone starts talking and they each say something and it just like fades out. They could have did that as well, but that didn't happen. So I was kind of surprised in that moment. Another thing that bothered me was, oh my gosh, I don't mean to be complaining, but these are the things that I thought of right away when I saw these scenes, was when the coach and his wife were talking about splitting up duties for their son and daughter, like going to go and pick them up, not. This happens in Cheaper by the Dozen as well with Steve Martin's character, is that when I feel like people take, or like adults or people who are passionate about sports take these coaching gigs, it's like the parenting role gets left behind. So I was really frustrated when like he didn't even think about taking 30 minutes out of his day to go pick up his kid. Like, I don't know, that just like irks me. It's like when you have kids, they're your number one priority, no matter what. And this wasn't like it was an NHL season. Like, this is national hockey, or international play, I guess. Which I realized, I looked up after the movie, is that they had a lot of exhibition games back then for international, because I kept thinking in my head, I'm like, why are they playing like practice games with these other countries? Because it's not common today. Like, you can't even get certain teams to practice internationally. The only time you practice internationally is, well, I don't even think you do. The only time you see international is at, for the youngers at like Worlds, and then you have the Olympics, and that's basically it. So it really put it in perspective of how it was at the time. The other thing too is when they were doing the rigorous training after, I think they tied in the exhibition game, and the guy's like, okay, coach, like, we want to clean the ice and we want you guys to leave. I don't know why, but I was just like, oh my gosh, that's like so disrespectful when you're in someone else's country and you think that you're like above someone else. Like, yes, I think the US has the most to offer in terms of rights and freedom, but like, I want to go to another country and like disrespect like any type of rule. It's like no different when you go to someone else's house, or you're going to a church, or you're going to a school. When you're in a different environment outside of your home, like, you're going to respect the boundaries of that environment. And so like, I don't know, I just kind of like lost disrespect at that moment. I'm like, I understand your point, because I've had training like that too, where if you aren't paying attention or you aren't working hard enough, you're going to get way more strength and conditioning happening to you right after a game, right after a practice, or longer practice. Like, I got flashbacks to sports that I had growing up where we had to stay extra for practice because we weren't working hard enough. Or even a game, like if we like lost, it's like, okay, we're just gonna run laps around the field before we leave, and people are just like looking around like, why are you running? And it's like, it was kind of like a punishment because you like lost, because maybe we didn't work hard enough, or we could have did something better. So I definitely got flashbacks to like high school, and then like running, like strength and conditioning, like running a 5K every single day. Like, oh my gosh, I like got goosebumps in those moments. But I don't know. It's just like when you go somewhere else, I feel like you should respect the rules. That's all I'm saying. But in that scene, that was probably one of my favorite scenes, was them going back and forth. Because I really do wish they spent more time on the training and conditioning, since it was about the coach and putting in this, rigorous pedigree that I wish they showed more of that. They spent so much time on the Soviet Union game, which I understand because that is the part where they win. But if his story is about having this rigorous training, why didn't you show more of that? Is what, like, I want to show more of the tiredness, the exhaustion, the pain that the players are in. Like, I want more of that. Okay. And we finally had it at that moment where they were doing skating suicides. And that was just like one of my favorite scenes was that. I just felt it. And then, like I said, I had flashbacks to when I was a kid and I was just like, ugh, yep, I relate to that. I saw a lot of people commenting, or like when I was researching the movie, or just other people, that they really liked the cinematography of the skating scenes. I did too, to a certain extent, but I think like it's hard. Like, I don't know what games were filmed like in 1980, but I feel like today we just have better camera angles, so it was just hard for me to get into kind of like the vibe of maybe what was televised back in the 80s, because I felt like it was very choppy. Like, there were times where I feel like we didn't even see the puck on the ice, where maybe they were just like running. Or, I mean, I watched on Disney Plus, so I don't know if it was like a full screen or like a widescreen version of the movie. But I felt like, I don't know, I felt like it was like choppy at sometimes, because like sometimes when you see people get into the boards and everything, you sometimes don't get it from a close-up view. You kind of get it from like the arena outer view. And so we didn't get a lot of that, which is actually authentic to like watching a real hockey game. Even in soccer games too, or basketball, like you get those outer shots. And I feel like we didn't get much of that. Also too, it was hard for me to picture that was in 1980, because I feel like the audience, I don't know if anybody else noticed this. I swear, I probably had a different opinion if I watched this at 10 years old when it came out. So, like, I don't mean to be so harsh, but it's just, I just love sports. So it's like, I'm going to call out the things that I think are like not real or inconsistent, but I know it's a movie at the end of the day. So anyways, just bear with me. But the audience, I feel like they weren't even dressed for 1980. They probably had a ton of extras, but it gave me like early 2000 vibe, which is when it was filmed. So I think that part was kind of hard in the final game, was just the audience and how they were dressed. And so maybe they just tried not to get much from the audience, so maybe you don't see that. But yeah, I just felt like some of the game stuff was like choppy, especially at the beginning where the scenes just weren't long. They were like more like montages a little bit, but the longer ones were the games. Like, there were some like really cool close-up shots, but it was just like so fast and choppy that like I couldn't, it was just hard to follow, in my opinion. But it's still fun. Like, even in F1 in last summer, like that was kind of choppy too, but like watching it, you feel like you're on the track. And so like sometimes watching this, you feel like you're on the ice, and I think that's what they wanted to capture. They wanted you to feel like you were there with them. So I think that's great. But I also felt like the hockey was kind of slow, but maybe they had to like slow it down for whatever reasons. Or maybe the game wasn't just as physical back then as it is now. But I don't know. That was just probably, maybe it was just the safety of the players. It just like wasn't as aggressive as I thought the game was going to be. Also too, like line changes. I wish they showed line changes more in this movie, and they did not. Because I feel in hockey, line changes are important. Like coming over to the bench and then making sure that you don't have enough people on the ice. And because you can get a penalty for that. And they just, I don't know. I feel like sometimes line changes are imperative, but maybe they weren't imperative during this game. Because I thought maybe they would show the intensity of players getting off the ice and players getting on the ice. And it's like, you see the coach saying like, let's go, let's go. And so, but like I said, it's more about the coach's story and not necessarily the, I guess, intensity of the players. It's about the coach and putting his strategies and ideas so that they can outwork the other team. Also too, they didn't do many pannings to the bench, but when they did, all I could think about was Brady Tkachuk from last weekend saying, I don't remember what period it was, but he's like, be confident, like believe in yourself. Or he didn't say believe in yourself, but I just remember him saying, be confident. He's like, we're going to win this game. And I just love those moments. And obviously we're so advanced today where that was a mic on moment, I believe. They had different players, I think, micing on, or they just picked up the soundbite from the bench and they showed it. But I love that moment because it's just, oh, I just love that moment. So I was hoping that we would have a moment in there, and we didn't. But that's okay. It made me want to rewatch the final game from last weekend, watching this movie. I was just like, oh, I want to get up and like rewatch the game. So maybe I'll rewatch the game because it was just so good. Like, I'm still on the high from last weekend. Like, watching, like, the boys had like a 72-hour bender from like partying for like 3 days and then like going on the ice and like playing back-to-back games, because now I feel like with the NHL having like 2 to 3 weeks off, like games are like becoming closer. They're gonna have back-to-back games, and then like players going on podcasts, going on shows. It's like they've had a crazy week of just going back in there and grinding. Like, so many players scored goals like their very first game back. Granted, a lot of them are captains or vice captains on the team. So it was just like crazy to see like the energy that they still had. And granted, the rest of the players had, 2 or 3 weeks to recover. But yeah, I'm pretty sure the adrenaline is still riding for them. Overall, I thought it was a really good movie from the coach's perspective, which is what we got, and the impact that he had on the game and the players. I didn't realize that the coach in real life died like 6 months before the movie was released. But I love the quote at the end. He never saw it, but he lived it. And I thought that was really cool, because I know some people who've maybe experienced things, whether it's like going out at war or being a professional athlete, where like they just don't watch their job. It's no different than like a profession, whether you're like a lawyer or a doctor. Like, you're not going to watch. I know people who are in those fields that don't even watch any TV show or movie that's within the field, because it's like they live it every single day. They don't really have to rewatch it on screen, whether it's, just for like drama or entertainment, because it's like you don't really need to. So I really liked that line, because sometimes when you make something, it's like, well, they don't really necessarily need to see it. They lived it. And sometimes that's just better than, like rewatching it with other people, recreating something that you were in. Like, it's kind of like actually weird when you think about it. I don't know what I would rate the movie. I don't know if I would watch the movie again. That sounds so bad to say. But I was talking to my dad, and he's like, I was explaining it to him, my feelings. And he's like, well, you should really watch or check out Miracle on Ice, the 1981 movie. He's like, it happened right after them winning in 1980. He's like, that movie will probably give you a little bit more of what you want. So maybe I'll check that one out next, Miracle on Ice. And I will let you know how I feel about that movie. But I think I don't know. There were just, one of my other favorite scenes before I end this video was when they won and the coach goes out into the hallway and just like sits by himself. Oh my gosh, I like loved that moment. That's it for my review on Miracle. I enjoyed it, and now I think I'm gonna go rewatch the final game of the Olympics from last weekend. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.